Have you ever noticed that you talk differently to different people? Your advisor, your younger cousin, and even ChatGPT? We all adjust our language. Our brains suddenly change the way we choose words depending on who we are speaking to. So why do we adapt our language differently when we talk to different partners? And what does this reveal about how human communication really works? Today, let's take a closer look at how these shifts in our language actually unfold in real conversations across age, background, and even technology. Hello everyone, this is Lumi Center. I'm Jiajia. Last time we introduced an interesting phenomenon in conversation called lexical entrainment. It's a process where we gradually start using the same words as our conversational partner. However, we don't entrain all the time, and we don't entrain with everyone. Who we are speaking to actually shapes how much we align our language. A study by Holly Brannigan and colleagues in 2011 investigated whether people's word choices depended on who they think they are talking to. They asked participants to complete an online picture matching and naming task with their paired partner. In the task, one person described a target picture and the other selected it from a grid of images. Then they switched roles. Throughout the task, the researchers observed whether participants start using the same words their partner had just used. When they did, that reuse signaled lexical entrainment. The key manipulation here was belief about the partner. Some participants were told they were interacting with another person, while others believed they were talking to a computer. Guess what happened? Participants aligned their wording more when they believed the partner was a computer than when they believed it was human. Brannigan's team went further. They also compared two computer conditions, one described as a high capability system and another as a low capability system that might struggle with language. And there is a salient discrepancy observed. Alignment was strongest with the low capability computer. So people's entrainment behavior varied not only when they talked to another person versus a computer, but even between computers that seemed more or less capable with language. These findings show that lexical entrainment depends on what speakers believe about their partner's communicative ability. When they expect the partner to have limited understanding and speaking ability, they adapt more to maintain clarity and ensure successful communication. But hold on, they weren't talking to a real person at all in the task. So does this really tell us anything about how people adapt their language in real life? Next, let's look at some studies involving real human interaction to see whether the same pattern appears. How would you describe this? Cat, calico, or lantern? That's her name. Imagine how would your 3-year-old cousin describe her? Probably something like kitty. And if you want to make your cousin happy, what would you say back? Maybe something like, yeah, it's a kitty. Just like that, you've shifted your wording. Tsai and colleagues in 2021 studied how adults adapt their language when talking to children. They used the same picture matching and naming task as in Brannigan's study, but this time, the partners were real persons, adults and children. They found that when adults talked with children, they reused the children's words much more than they did when talking with other adults. In other words, lexical entrainment was stronger when talking to children. According to what we learned from Brannigan's study, this makes sense. Children are still developing linguistic competence, so adults naturally adjust their word choices to make communication easier and help children understand. And we saw the same pattern here. The less capable the listener is perceived to be, the more the speaker engages in lexical entrainment to support understanding. But it's not only with children. We also entrain more with certain adults. For example, when you talk to a friend who isn't a native speaker, have you ever noticed your own language shifting a little? Maybe you start using some of their words or phrases, even if they sound a bit unusual to you. Suffield and colleagues observed real dialogues between native and non-native English speakers in route-given tasks, where one person described a map and the other followed directions. This setup allowed the researchers to capture lexical entrainment in a more natural and interactive context. They found that speakers showed stronger lexical entrainment when their partner was non-native. Put all these studies together and a clear pattern emerges. When our conversational partner seems less linguistically capable, like less fluent, less experienced, or less human-like, we actually entrain more. Remember the two theories I introduced in the last video? They describe lexical entrainment as driven by two possible processes. One is automatic processing, and the other is consciously coordinated control. The findings from these experiments challenge the idea that entrainment is purely automatic. This suggests that speakers actively monitor their partner's language ability and adjust their word choices accordingly. This helps explain why people change their words for different partners. When we believe our partner might not fully understand us, we engage conscious control to select words that fit their level of language ability. We are not just echoing what we hear, but we are deliberately adapting to be understood. These variations across conversations reveals the role of conscious and strategic control in how we produce and shape our language. By now, I believe you probably understood the pattern of lexical entrainment across different people. But why does it matter? We rarely pay attention to this behavior when talking, and we might not realize how much our minds are influenced by context or how much effort we put into assessing every word. But for artificial intelligence, it's still remarkably difficult to achieve. Today's advanced AI systems like ChatGPT, Gemini, and many other AI systems can already generate fluent and coherent language. It's possible that AI could eventually sound like humans by training on vast amount of language data. But that's not how humans actually communicate. Human conversation isn't just about exchanging information or learning from large datasets. It's about building understanding and connection. And lexical entrainment plays a key role in helping us establish that connection. If conversational technologies could take this human adaptability into account, not only replicating language, but also adapting it from a cognitive perspective, they might move closer to the way real communication works. Every word we choose carries a trace of the person we are speaking to. That's what makes human communication flexible, intelligent, and deeply social. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found this video interesting, or if there are other language topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to leave a comment and let us know.
This is Lumi Center, bringing the science behind language. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going.